Just 4 days ago, on May 18, 2026, a judge in Los Angeles sat down in a courtroom and issued a ruling that most people haven't heard about yet. He ordered a man who sued Jada Pinkett Smith for $3 million to pay her $32,836. And that same man, who had also filed a restraining order asking a judge to keep Jada 100 yards away from him at all times, had already been denied that too. 2 attacks, 2 losses, and the man sitting across from her in that courtroom, he's the same man who spent years calling himself Will Smith's best friend of 40 years. This is not old news. This is happening right now. And the full story, from the podcast that started it all to the courtroom 4 days ago, is wilder than anything the headlines gave you. A man named Bilaal Salaam.
Bilaal Salaam, who says that he's a former friend of theirs. Well, Jada has responded to the claims in a lawsuit.
Also known publicly as Brother Bilaal, sat down on the Unwind with Tasha K podcast and said something that stopped the internet cold. He claimed he had walked into a dressing room and witnessed Will Smith engaging in a sexual act.
To show that it was true. That's when Jada responded out of anger, not out of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding.
With actor Dwayne Martin, he didn't whisper it. He described it in graphic detail, on camera. To millions of people, Will Smith's team responded within hours. This story is completely fabricated, and the claim is unequivocally false. Jada Pinkett Smith appeared on The Breakfast Club. She laughed, called it ridiculous, called it nonsense, said Salaam had tried a money shakedown on her and Will, and then she looked into the camera and said 2 words that would follow her into a courtroom. She was telling the world, we are coming after this man legally. There was just one problem. They never filed. Bilaal Salaam was watching, and he was taking notes. Before we go further, you need to understand who this man actually is. Bilaal Salaam has described himself as Will Smith's best friend for nearly 40 years. Not an acquaintance, not a colleague, his best friend. He appeared in photos in Will's memoir. He claimed he worked alongside Smith on personal and professional matters for decades. After the 2022 Oscars, when Will slapped Chris Rock on live television.
Oh, wow! Wow!
Salaam says he was approached to help with crisis management for the Smith family. He claims he refused, because what they were asking, in his words, was illegal, unethical, or morally compromising. Whatever that conversation actually was. And from that fracture came the podcast, the book announcement, the public allegations, and eventually the lawsuits. November 7th, 2025. Bilaal Salaam walked into Los Angeles Superior Court and filed a lawsuit against Jada Pinkett Smith. $3 million. 3 counts of intentional infliction of emotional distress, his central claim. That on September 5th, 2021, at the Regency Calabasas Commons, during a private birthday party for Will Smith, Jada had confronted him in the lobby. With approximately 7 members of her entourage surrounding her, she became, according to his filing, verbally aggressive, and then she allegedly told him that if he kept telling her personal business, he would end up missing or catch a bullet. She also allegedly demanded he sign a non-disclosure agreement on the spot, or else. And after the confrontation, according to the complaint, members of Jada's team followed him to his car while continuing to issue threats. He also pointed to Jada's public statement on The Breakfast Club, where she said, "We suing."
You know.
Say, leave it alone. Don't go no further.
Yeah. No. Nobody said anything. It's
and argued that statement was false, made with malicious intent, and had damaged his character publicly. Defendant never filed a lawsuit. His filing read, "The statement was false, reckless, and made with malicious intent to manipulate public opinion. $3 million for all of it." Stop here for a second, because before we get into the legal strategy, I want you to sit with what this moment was for Jada Pinkett Smith. It's December 2025. She has spent years being one of the most publicly examined women in America. Her marriage, her separation, her memoir, her pain. all of it had been turned into content for strangers to debate. She had been honest about things most people keep private forever, and the internet had not always been kind to that honesty. And now, a man who had spent 2 years making explosive public claims about her family had turned around and made her the defendant. She didn't go to the press first. She didn't do an interview. She responded to his podcast allegations publicly, called it nonsense, and he sued her for it. The filing alone became a headline before a single piece of evidence had been examined by any judge. Jada Pinkett Smith sued for $3 million. That headline was spreading while she was still processing that this was even happening. And that headline would reach millions of people who would never stay long enough to read the ruling. February 2026. Jada Pinkett Smith did not go quiet. She did not settle. She went on offense. Her legal team filed an anti-SLAPP motion in Los Angeles Superior Court. SLAPP, strategic lawsuit against public participation. California built this law because it recognized a very specific pattern. Some people don't file lawsuits to win. They file them to punish, to bleed someone dry with legal fees, to generate damaging headlines, to make the process itself the weapon, knowing that even an innocent person might eventually fold under the financial and emotional pressure. The Anti-SLAPP statute says, if someone is using the courts to target your protected speech and their claims lack legal merit, you can move to strike the case early, before it drains more, before it damages more. And if the motion succeeds, the person who filed the baseless suit can be ordered to pay your legal fees. Jada's team argued two things clearly. First, that Salaam's entire lawsuit arose from her public response to his podcast allegations, responses that are constitutionally protected speech. Second, that his claims were, in their exact words, false, uncorroborated, and nonsense, part of what they described as an ongoing public campaign of harassment directed at her and her family. Her team also pointed to something specific, that Salaam had voluntarily given media interviews claiming without evidence that he personally witnessed her husband engaging in sexual acts. He went public without evidence. She responded publicly, and he sued her for that response. That is the definition of what anti-SLAPP was built to stop. But the lawsuit was not his only move. Around the same time, Bilaal Salaam also filed for a restraining order against Jada. He told the judge he feared her. He cited the same September 2021 confrontation, the same lobby, the same alleged words. He asked the court to legally require her to stay 100 yards away from him at all times. 100 yards from her. Think about what a granted restraining order attached to Jada's name would have looked like publicly. People don't read the fine print. They see the words, restraining order, Jada Pinkett Smith. That headline would have lived in search results permanently, screenshot and shared in places where no correction ever reaches. On February 26, 2026, the judge denied the request. Insufficient evidence. Salaam could not provide enough to justify a permanent order of protection against her. First loss. April 2026, the anti-SLAPP motion came before the court. The judge partially granted it, striking the key emotional distress claims from Salaam's complaint. Specifically, all allegations tied to Jada's public media statements were removed. Claims Salaam had built around her Breakfast Club appearance, her We Suin statement, her public denial of his podcast allegations, gone. Struck from the case, with those claims dismissed, Jada's legal team immediately moved to recover costs. They filed a motion requesting $49,181.23 in attorney fees, covering the full scope of what it cost to defend against the claims the court had just thrown out. 4 days ago, May 18, 2026, Judge Harmon sat in a Los Angeles courtroom and issued the ruling that brought us here today. He ordered Bilaal Salaam to pay Jada Pinkett Smith $32,836 in attorney fees and litigation costs. Her team had requested $49,181, but the direction of that payment, that didn't change. He pays her. And then Salaam's legal team made one more move. They asked Judge Harmon to fast-track the case to trial immediately. The judge said no. Instead, he directed both parties to appear at a case management conference scheduled for August 2026. The broader lawsuit is still active. Not all claims have been resolved. The case is not over. But the scoreboard so far: restraining order filed against Jada, denied. February 2026, key emotional distress claims, struck. April 2026, $32,836, ordered against Salaam paid to her. May 18, 2026, request to rush to trial, denied. May 18, 2026, I need you to understand what that number really means. It is not just money. A judge looked at the claims Bilaal Salaam brought into that courtroom and decided they lacked enough legal merit to survive. And then that same judge said, the person who forced Jada to defend herself against these claims should pay for the cost of that defense. That is not a technicality. You filed something that shouldn't have been filed, and she had to spend money fighting it. So you owe her. For Jada, who sat with a $3 million lawsuit attached to her name for months, who watched that headline spread to people who would never come back for the ruling, that number is not just financial. It is the court saying out loud, she was right to fight this. Here is the thing that doesn't get talked about enough. The headline: Jada Pinkett Smith sued for $3 million, traveled across every platform, every outlet, every comment section. The headline: Judge orders Salaam to pay her $32,836. Quieter, much quieter. That is the consistent pattern in celebrity legal coverage. The accusation is loud. The outcome is a footnote. And Jada has to live with the fact that a portion of the people who saw her name in that original story will carry that version of it permanently. No ruling fixes that. No fee award reaches those comment sections. The court gave her the decision, but it cannot give her back every person who read Jada Pinkett Smith sued for $3 million on a Tuesday morning and never came back for the truth. That is why this video exists. Here's where the case stands today. May 22nd, 2026, Bilaal Salaam's restraining order request. Denied. His key emotional distress claims struck from the case. His legal fee bill to Jada Pinkett Smith, $32,836. The broader lawsuit is still moving. Both parties will be back in court in August. But in every battle that has come to a decision so far, Jada Pinkett Smith has been on the right side of the ruling. She came into this as the defendant, the one being sued, the one a man wanted kept 100 yards away from him. And she has turned every single concluded chapter of this case into a win. That is not luck. That is what happens when you show up, when you fight with facts instead of headlines, when you trust the process, even when the process is slow and expensive and brutally public. The case isn't over, but right now, the scoreboard belongs to her. If you got the full picture here, that the original coverage skipped, hit that like button right now. This channel follows the full arc, not just the filing, the ruling, the fee order, the facts,